What's going on, everybody? This is Moose and Brian here from OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the whole 9 yards. If it's a social media platform, we're probably on it. I'm your host, Moose, at CFB_Moose on Twitter is where you can find me. I'm the co-founder and data guru here at Occupy Fantasy. Alongside me is longtime co-host Brian Jester at Brian Jester FF, co-founder and CEO of Occupy Fantasy. How's it going, man?
What's up, Moose? So you got the Bengal scarf on, ready
Yes.
for chaos this week?
Chaos in like literally either direction. Either they win, it's chaos, or they lose, and it's chaos. So you can't lose.
I mean, you
Chaos
can.
either.
You definitely can.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, no, just wearing like a bunch of random Bengals apparel, and that I found, I realized that I have way more Bengals apparel than I thought didn't know I had. And I ordered more, so add to the stash. So let's
Yeah,
go.
plenty, an outfit for each day in Vegas for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a blast. So I think it was one person in Discord said that they're going to be out in Vegas. If you're out in Vegas and you want to say hello to us, we're going to be around the Strip downtown area. If you're a member of the Discord, go ahead and hit us up. And I'm sure we'll be able to probably squeeze time, find some time to link up with any of you all. But let's talk about the Pro Bowl, Brian. Pretty fun slate. Not as much of an edge as we thought we've had in previous years, but still an edge.
Yeah, so if you remember, so last year we had the Pro Bowl canceled, and then the years before that, we released some Pro Bowl videos and talked about how it was just a massive edge, playing tight ends, playing defenses and whatnot, especially on DraftKings. And then 2019, I guess, was the last year of the Pro Bowl, and the field caught up. A lot of content sites picked up on the edge. They started producing it. Pretty much everyone out there started producing it. And now this year, it's the common known fact to play tight ends. And we actually saw a big jump in ownership from 2018 to 2019, which was the last Pro Bowl slate, in tight end ownership. We saw a massive decrease in running back ownership, which is correct. I mean, 2 Pro Bowls ago, Saquon Barkley was 50% owned on DraftKings. And then you fast forward to last year, or the last Pro Bowl, and the highest running back was 13%. So the field is really sharpened up, so we have to think about some ways here to get different.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like contest selection is going to be absolutely critical. I know there's not that many contests out there, but especially if you're looking at some head-to-heads or some small field double-ups, 100-player leagues, if you look at it and you definitely see some no badges, I still feel like that edge is going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so it's really interesting. So if you guys have questions while we're talking about this, we'll be here for 15 or 20 minutes or so, just breaking down the Pro Bowl before it starts. Our CSGO writer, Bismo, you guys know him from Discord, data scientist. He ran some analysis last year, Moose, or this year for the last Pro Bowl. And the one thing that's interesting to me is there's a clear separation. There's a sharp group in the big GPPs and there's a square group in the big GPPs. Where if you look at, there are basically 2 clumps in every data set of the DraftKings GPP from 2 years ago, where you have one group that's super square and plays quarterbacks and running backs, especially quarterbacks at captain, and uses as much salary as possible. Then you have the second group, which exclusively plays tight ends, defenses, receivers, and leaves just a shit ton of money on the table. And so depending on which group you're in, you have to figure out what's optimal and how to get different within that group. And I think that sharper group's going to grow even further this year.
So what you're saying is we need to start doing Galaxy Brain. We need to start doing hashtag bad plays only and go back to the quarterbacks. I'm joking. But
We're actually pretty close to that, I think. I don't think the ownership's there just yet. We're like almost at the point where a running back is probably a good large field GPP play. I don't know. I mean, if every running back's going to be 6%, 5%, 8, whatever it is, maybe. I don't know.
the one thing that caught up with me is, for full transparency, I have a bet on the under the Super Bowl because I'm chaotic and I don't want high scoring in the Pro Bowl. But with some of the time, running clock, some other things like that, defenses are still a good option. Do you think small field or large field? Do you think you could captain a defense?
Yes, definitely. So if we look at, in fact, if we look at the last 3 years, if you just look at median projections and even ceiling, defense has been the highest scorer in one of the last 3 slates, and they have the highest median projection of any position. So
And by median projection, you mean like final score?
Yes, not
Like
projection,
projection.
median outcome, fantasy
Yeah.
points.
Okay.
So yeah, defense is a fantastic play, and I don't know. We saw them last Pro Bowl get up to 15 to 20% ownership in the flex. They were like 3 to 5% captain. I haven't seen them pushed as much this year, so I don't know if that'll skyrocket as much as say the tight ends did 2 years ago. I just
Yeah.
think people are going to jam tight ends and then play maybe one quarterback, maybe some receivers. I don't know if we'll see that big of a jump in defense this year.
Yeah, I mean, looking here, the total just keeps going up and up and up. Open to 61.5, up to 65 at some spots. Um, so I mean, I feel like just based off that, um, defense and like what you said, not many people are talking about the defenses as well. That could be a sneaky captain play. Um, I don't know how Galaxy Brain that is for small field contests, but for large field contests, I can definitely see it happening.
I don't know if it's like that Galaxy Brain because they have such a high floor, and
Yeah,
if they get a pick six, like you're good. And
yeah,
the thing is, like in the Pro Bowl, they pass a ton, which is
mm,
obviously great for defensive scoring,
yeah,
defensive fantasy scoring, and the refs have a quick whistle. So if a defensive lineman gets to the quarterback, they're immediately blowing it dead. That's why we see a decent amount of sacks despite
that's
Pro Bowl
true. Yeah.
offensive linemen, and we see a bunch of interceptions and turnovers, especially on trick plays. So
Hmm.
the floor of sacks plus turnovers is really high. Then if you just get a pick six or a punt return, like you're in business. And it may sound crazy to think of that happening, but it happens pretty frequently in the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, you figure they're not trying to really do many hard hits. If they're not necessarily playing the hardest. So all it takes is one punt return to be like, hey, I'm actually going to get this and go. And
Yeah.
now I do have the Wikipedia article up here with the rosters, and as we see here, tight ends just Mark Andrews, Travis Kelsey for the AFC, and for NFC, Kittle and Pitts. So if you're building a lineup, let's say if you're just doing a single entry 20 max or even up to 150 max, I think that contest is actually full now. But would you do if you're in the builder, the Occupy Fantasy lineup builder? How crazy is min two, min one, min three tight ends, or like how would you like what's a good rule to start off with if you're building lineups?
Uh, I we think the highest floor, highest ceiling plays are the defenses and tight ends. So I
Mm-hmm.
would think, the smaller the contest, the higher the min number is there. The larger the contest, maybe a little less. So I would say at least min three tight ends plus defenses on DraftKings.
Mm, okay. Okay. And we have a question here from Nick. Says, who are your guys' favorite overall MVP? Like, who would be the cover boy if there was a plug for the Pro Bowl?
So the safe option would be Kelsey or Andrews. And then if you're looking at a tier down for like the lowest owned tight end, it's going to be Pitts, who could easily be the highest scorer. If you're looking the next tier down, or maybe the tier up as far as the Galaxy Brain meme goes, then we're looking at like an AFC or NFC defensive player. And I think for the highest Galaxy Brain level, it would be like Hunter Renfro or one of these reserve receivers.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Just one point out here, Debo Samuel. He gets a lot. He's apparently running back one on his team now. We've joked about that before. So he has that mixed wide receiver running back combo that could give him some extra points there. It should be really interesting. How are you handling those reserve players? Are you kind of just like Salt Bane sprinkling them around in your different lineups, or
No, I'm actually. So we actually see this that the starting receivers get a little bit more ownership than the reserve receivers, which is a pretty big edge. So it's kind of like the reserve players in the MLB All-Star game, and we've talked about that in the past, where guys like Joey Gallo off the bench might get one less at bat, but they're a fraction of the ownership.
mm-hmm.
We'll see guys like Hunter Renfro. Who else is on the like CD Lamb? We'll probably see a little bit less ownership than the starters. So I like playing those guys. And I'm trying to play it kind of like preseason in MME and 150 maxing, where I'm just kind of trying to get equal exposure to everyone, as opposed to because again, we can't really project who's going to get the most targets, who's going to get the most playing time, who's going to get the most air yards in a Pro Bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets pretty equal opportunity. And so if you ask a question in the chat, would you rather play CD Lamb or Mike Evans? It's like who the hell knows, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a good just to mix them all in.
And I think that this is one of the very few times where single entry is way harder than 20
Yes.
max or 150 max because you're basically, if for single entry, you're basically literally just picking lottery numbers now. Yeah, you can pick tight ends and defenses and reserve wide receivers, but you have to get the right ones. And I know it's just exactly the same as like an NFL week when we would say that, but there's a lot more variance here. So whereas even if you could bump up to a 3 max contest, and that's still within your bankroll, still within your guidelines, just build 3 ones and kind of spread everything out. I think that would be a lot better play.
Agree.
Reeves says, is there some rule where there has to be a tight end on the field for every play, so tight ends are going to be forced a lot more? Also, once a reserve comes back in, can the starter come back in?
Yeah, great questions, Reeve. So according to Pro Bowl rules, there has to be at least 1 running back and at least 1 tight end on the field at all times. And yes, once someone leaves the game, I mean, it's typical football rules. It's not like baseball where a starter comes out and they can't come back in. Yeah, you can come in, come out whenever you want. So if a guy leaves the game in the first quarter, you can obviously come back in at any time. And defenses are required to play 4-3 exclusively, which, not to get deep into the tape or the X's and O's, it's a lot easier for the passing game, especially modern passing games, especially these tight ends. They have to go against 4-3 defenses when generally they're playing against nickel and dime coverages. So it's just a big advantage for the tight ends. Plus, there's only 2 per team. So it's guaranteed to be on the field for roughly 50% of the snaps compared to where the wide receivers are splitting a little more and the running backs are splitting more.
They just need to make the Pro Bowl where everyone has to play cover 2, and the Pro Bowl is like 7-3.
Yeah, so you're allowed to play cover 2, but I agree they should make it the rule where you have to play cover 2, and everyone just struggles.
That'd be great.
Mahomes, because Mahomes is playing this game, right? Mahomes is like, "You got to be kidding me."
Great. Let's see here. Brady versus Alex says favorite captain on Yahoo.
Depends on the contest size. For smaller contests, one of the tight ends, probably Andrews or Kelsey. Larger contests, Pitts, Kittle, or one of the receivers.
Cool. What's up, Dockside? Always glad to see him here in the chat. So if a player plays in the first half, what's the odds he plays in the second half? It seems a quarterback would definitely sit once they come out, but what about the rest?
This is a great point. So I know Dockside's out there grinding the second half and fourth quarter contest. I know that for a fact. What's up, bro? I know for sure he's doing that. And this is probably the biggest takeaway if you're watching this. Play the second half and fourth quarter contest, especially on FanDuel. We've seen it in the past where people will play, especially quarterbacks, that are not going to play in the game. If you're watching the game, look at the roster that Moose has up on Wikipedia and see which quarterback hasn't entered the game, which running back. Receivers are still going to play. Tight ends are still going to play. Running backs, they might get back in the game, but quarterbacks don't come back in once they leave in Pro Bowl. So get an edge there and play the quarterback that's trailing who hasn't entered the game or just got into the game, and that's a great move for second half and fourth quarter contests.
I literally have my notebook right here. I'm one of the few people that, like, for some reason, that like the handwriting works for me on this. I can just write all the players down, and when they leave, like you just said, I cross them off. I look at the second half contest, and I got my DraftKings, FanDuel here, spreadsheet here, like physical spreadsheet, and good to go.
It's a move.
It is a move. Jake says, what kind of correlation is there between winning the dodgeball tournament and Pro Bowl production?
It seems like there should be pretty heavy correlation there. I don't even know who won the dodgeball. I don't even know who won that. Was it Tyreek?
I didn't even know there was a dodgeball tournament. That sounds fantastic. Daniel says, which quarterback would you pick?
I honestly wouldn't. We've only had, actually, shocker here, but Number Fire put out a great article about this. But I think only 3 quarterbacks have scored double-digit fantasy points over the last 3 Pro Bowl games. You figure there's 6 per game. Yeah, I wouldn't play one. Maybe the starter, Justin Herbert or Kyler Murray, but yeah, I don't think you need to play a quarterback in most contests.
Makes sense to me.
So there's 3 of them. It's like preseason. There's 3 of them. They got to split. Only twice in the last 28 quarterback appearances have they thrown for multiple scores in a Pro Bowl game. So it's really tough to get there.
It is, yeah. Jake says Justin Jefferson won it.
Nice. In that case, it is a 100% correlation and playing well in the Pro Bowl.
Definitely. So we're here for 5 more minutes until 2:20 Eastern time. If you have any more questions, definitely go ahead and get them out there. I'm trying to think something else here, Brian. I actually haven't had a chance to look too much at it, but how are the satellites? Are they still terrible?
They're trash. They're pretty terrible. Should we just go over the positions really quickly? Who's playing and who's not playing? That way people know.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with the AFC, which you have here on screen. So Lamar Jackson was voted. He's not going to play, so it'll be Justin Herbert starting, Patrick Mahomes, and Mac Jones at quarterback. Running back, Joe Mixon shout out Moose, is obviously in the Super Bowl. He will not be playing, so it's JT, Nick Chubb, Najee Harris. At wide receiver, Jamar Chase is in the Pro Bowl, but he's in the Super Bowl, so he's not going to play. Keenan Allen also voted, but he opted out. So we got Tyreek, Stephon Diggs, Hunter Renfrow, Deontay Johnson. And at tight end, we have Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce.
Cool. Obviously, I would say probably don't play Patrick Card.
So Patrick Ricard, it's funny because they interviewed him, and I was thinking about including fullbacks because we had that random Anthony Sherman slate 2 Pro Bowls ago where he was the highest scorer.
Yeah.
But that was because his coach was the coach of the Pro Bowl team. That helped. We don't have that scenario here for basically any players because Tennessee and Green Bay don't have any guys really playing on offense in this game. And Patrick Ricard in an interview said I might play 10 snaps, which is not what you want to hear.
No, not at all. And if we switch over to the NFC roster.
Yes, and a question from Lamar in the chat is stacking. If you have a captain, no, stacking's out the window here because they could catch a pass from any quarterback, so you don't feel the need to stack a quarterback with your captain on this slate.
Cool.
Oh, so we're NFC moves, right?
Yeah.
My bad. Okay, so Aaron Rodgers, I don't know why, but he's not playing. Neither is Tom Brady. He retired. So we got Kyler Murray starting, Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, best of the best there for the NFC. Dalvin, James Conner, Alvin Kamara will be seeing time at running back. Kyle Juszczyk, fullback. Cooper Kupp is in the Super Bowl. Devontae Adams opted not to play. So we got Justin Jefferson, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, CeeDee Lamb at receiver for the NFC squad, and then George Kittle and Kyle Pitts. So, again, don't be the guy that plays someone who's not playing. And Moose, we have all these updated in the lineup builder. We don't have a daily plug. We don't have a model. But we put in some just very brief projections. We do have accurate, we put in effort into the ownership projections in the lineup builder. So if you want to go build multiple lineups, or at least just get an idea of what people are doing and which players are playing, use the lineup builder, which Moose just put up on screen.
Yep, just put up here on screen. You can check out, like I say, if you're doing the multi-build, you can do that. You can also do the single build as well. You put your All-Pros AFC at captain and NFC at flex, if I can find out where they are. And like I said, yeah, it's nice to just like visualize it without it being on the site. Gives yourself a little bit more options. You have up to 20 lineups that you can save. You can name them whatever you want. So definitely a good resource for single building as well. Definitely, Brian. For the people who are not playing, like the physical football players that are not playing, over under 4. What do you think their combined ownership is going to be? I originally was going to set the line at 4%.
Oh, that's a good line. I was going to say 5, so pretty solid line. I guess I'll go over 4% then.
So if you're thinking about this, then how do you handle that in do you say that's any part of your edge? Do you say basically take 5% off the rake of what it would be, or are you just kind of ignoring that completely?
I mean, honestly, if you include that, you include the lineups that are going to play running backs, include the lineups that are going to captain a quarterback. I mean, there's the rake is gone for sure. So if you're looking for a rake-free slate, I think while we say the edge has disappeared from previous slates, yeah, that rake is still going to be paid for by most entrants. So it's not completely gone by that means.
Nice. What's up, Ed? He says, hello, fellows. I'm late. Did I miss the perfect lineup reveal? You did. We will not show it again, and we're not doing this on replay, so you're screwed. I'm joking, man. What's up, Ed? Yeah, just play tight ends and defenses and reserve wide receivers.
Yeah. Reeve asked in the chat thoughts on defense and kicker. So defense. So we talked about before. You can actually play two defenses. One last year, 150K. Not last year. I keep saying last year, but the last Pro Bowl slate. Double defense. And that's a weird construction for showdown, but it can get there in this particular type of game. So you can definitely play 2 defenses. Kickers, maybe on FanDuel, maybe DraftKings. Who are the kickers for this game, Moose? I forget already.
Kicker. Matt Gay. No, he's out. Jake Elliott.
Oh, and Tucker, I think, right?
Where's the other one? Justin Tucker, yeah.
Yeah, so I would probably, if you're playing 150, maybe include Tucker. They may give him a 50-yard attempt or something, all the extra points. That can add up. But again, it's very rare, and I don't think you need to do it. The one last thing I'll say here, Moose, is the returners, Jakeem Grant and Devin Duvernay, are going to be like 5% owned, maybe. But they'll play some snaps on offense. We saw Andre Roberts catch a couple passes, catch a touchdown in the last Pro Bowl as a returner. And again, you basically play 3 receivers most of the time. And these guys, they don't get a ton of run during the regular season. So these coaches actually give them some run during the Pro Bowl. So guys like Devin Duvernay, guys like Jakeem Grant are going to be super low owned. And if you're looking for a large field differentiator, don't forget those guys.
So could you correlate that with the defenses? Do a little
Definitely.
like double dip if they run something back.
Absolutely. So about half of my AFC lineups have Devin Duvernay, and about half of my Devin Duvernay lineups have the AFC defense, and about half of my Jakeem Grant lineups.
I was gonna say if you have 50% Devin Duvernay, I was gonna say shut him out.
The other way around for sure.
Let's see. Jake says max number of tight ends you would use in a large field tournament.
4. I have no problem playing all 4. Just make sure you realize that's probably popular within the sharp group, not overall, but within the sharp group. So you'll need some differentiators somewhere.
Cool. Daniel says, any advice for FanDuel lineups? Tight ends?
Yeah, same as everything else.
Yeah.
Tight ends, receivers, quarterbacks slightly more viable because there are no defenses and the scoring, half-point PPR, but jam tight ends for sure.
Definitely. And to answer Ed's question, yeah, we are fading quarterbacks since they only play a little bit of time.
I could see it maybe in what do you think about small field moves? Because I was debating this earlier today, right? Obviously, you're going to play all 4 tight ends in small field and cash games. But where do you go after that? Let's say you're playing on FanDuel. Where's that 5th and final spot? Are you playing a receiver? Or are you playing like Justin Herbert or Kyler or something like that? What do you think?
What do you think about? I'm trying to think. Could you play like Mahomes? And do you think they're going to Do you think any rushing upside quarterback is actually going to rush in the Pro Bowl? Do you think they
0.
Might get that?
No,
I was going to say
Lamar had 6 yards the last time he played, and if he's not running, nobody's running.
Yes, I was going to say So my initial thought was, maybe play a quarterback that would have some rushing upside, but then I realized that they don't move more than 3 yards. I could see it happening. I mean, you basically need to get that quarterback that gets a touchdown, and if he's going to play for a quarter, might get there. Figure if a total 65, there's going to be a lot. According to Vegas, there's going to be a lot of scoring. I can see a quarterback getting there.
Yeah, I think quarterback's probably a little safer. I don't even know, to be honest, though. For a small field, I think I would just rather play a receiver. It's really because how are you going to pick which quarterback, first of all? And then 2, I'd rather just play a receiver that's guaranteed to play half the snaps or whatever.
Yeah, because you figure you need. How many points do you think you need from a player to get there? 10?
In small field, yeah, probably 8 to 10. And that's assuming that. But see, here's the other issue, right? If you're playing sharper players and the field's caught up, most small field lineups will have 4 tight ends, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll probably fill in with a quarterback. So I think you have to, if you're going to get different, you got to play a receiver there.
Yeah, I could definitely, because I was thinking, for a quarterback to get 8 points in a quarter, or a quarter and some change, it's pretty hard. It's going to need they're going to need either 2 passing touchdowns or passing touchdown and a lot of yards. They're not going to get rushing yards. They can't have an interception, because if they have an interception, that's basically done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the more I'm talking about it, I feel like definitely not a lot of quarterback action there.
Yeah. And Ed asked about salary. So we mentioned at the top of the show, just to reiterate here, salary does not matter. Do not worry about that salary figure. It's completely irrelevant. So don't worry about it. Don't feel like you have to spend any amount. Most of my I'll get out of here. I say my favorite play is Hunter Renfrow on the slate for large field contests, because one, everyone's excited to play Hunter Renfrow on a regular showdown slate, right? But on this slate, when you can choose between Diggs and Tyreek and Deontay and Evans and all those other guys, right? Renfrow is going to be the lowest owned wide receiver outside of the returners. But when you think about where he plays and what the defense has to do in this particular game, they have to play 4-3, which means no slot corners. And Hunter Renfrow is exclusively a slot guy. Yeah. He already eats up slot corners as it is. What do you think they do to linebackers and safeties? Right? This game just sets up perfectly for Renfrow, I think.
Yeah. I was going to say my favorite play is probably the NFC defense. I think that they're probably one of my favorite plays there. But yeah, the more you talk about Renfrow, I'm slowly upping my allocation towards him.
Definitely captain or MVP him in the fourth quarter contest if they're trailing, because he's going to get peppered with targets as they try to come back.
Yeah. Yeah, so biggest thing is, if you didn't want to watch anything else, you didn't pay attention, I know there's at least one person here watching that just has this minimized. Bring it back up for these last 30 seconds. play tight ends, play Hunter Renfrow, play the defenses. Salary doesn't exist. And most importantly, play the damn second half, fourth quarter slates.
Yes.
I don't even have the time for a proper. Let's see. I was just gonna get out if we didn't have any questions, but we do actually. Nick says Mahomes and Kelsey going to link up for a touchdown.
Yeah, because they can't do it in the Super Bowl, so they got to do it in the Pro Bowl.
Nice. And when was the last time the AFC lost?
I think it was last century, to be honest. It feels like AFC's won like a billion straight Pro Bowls, right?
Yeah, it's been a while. Just shows how AFC's that good of a conference. Go Bengals. But yeah, so that'll do it. We got to get out of here. Brian and Moose here from OccupyFantasy.com. Until next time, have a good one.